So you know I'm paid in full. Hey, what's going on? It's another episode of the Teel podcast, and like always, I've got a great guest. I got Mr. Michael Rhodes. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Joe? Man, it's good to see you. Good to be on the show. Thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to talk with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. There's a million things I could ask you about, so I know this will be an easy one. You got the music, business, church, all the things, man.
Man, it's a lot.
we go back a while.
We do actually. Yeah. I was thinking about that on my way over here, man. We go way back to, some of your first songs that you were rapping, and I was doing mixing and music at the time. And so
probably 2013 or 14.
Wow, 10 years or more. 11.
Yeah. It's a long time.
I'm getting old.
Yeah, we all are. Just keep on going, don't it?
That's right.
So what have you been into recently?
Well, I've really been to all the things that you remember me doing. I still do music.
Right.
I still have a band that we go out and play for events, weddings, events, parties, anything that's going on in the city, And then I also have my music that I do at the church. Right. So I'm doing minister music at Mount Grove, helping out at Clear Lake, doing minister music at both of those churches. I'm really enjoying that, challenging myself to still grow. I've been doing it for almost 30 years now, right at 30 years.
This was like a high school thing, or when did you start?
I started, in high school.
Wow.
Started when I was really young. I was playing drums, and then the person that plays the music at the church had to go off to college, and they said, we need someone to play. And that's when I really started honing in on my piano skills. And so that's when the music and DJing and, studio stuff, all that started coming out of me exploring what music can do on the, instrumental side, piano side.
Yeah. So. Music is cool. Music opens the door. Do you ever feel like music is like a separate language?
It is. It is another language, man. It's a language that goes beyond the conscious level, right? And so not to get too deep, but music is one of those things that you don't even have to be aware that you're listening to it, but it can still get inside of you. And there's people who have woke up and their radio was on and they wonder, why they're singing a song. And they weren't even awake, but the music was playing and it had an effect on their brain and it got inside of their system. And they start singing that song the next day and they're like, I don't even remember hearing this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, because music goes beyond our natural conscious level.
I think sometimes I'll think if you hear think about when you hear a song you haven't heard in 10 years, but do you know all the words?
Yeah.
That's just chilling in your brain this whole time. You haven't used that for 10 years, now you know the words.
Well, the interesting thing is try to say your ABCs without singing it,
Yeah.
There's everything we learn, a lot of the things we learn in our early years.
Song form, yeah.
It's better in song form. That's what kids learn. I figured that out when I was a math teacher, which is one of the other things that I did in life. And I started using music to teach math, and the kids started learning exponentially. And test scores, were skyrocketing just because we incorporated a beat, a rhythm, started making it a rap. And they were like, wow, I can get this.
It seems like the two main ways that we learn off of is either music or stories, someone's stories.
Yeah.
I think that's why movies will always work for us because of the combination of if you watch a movie with no background music, that is weird. I watched a clip of this deal and it was here's this. It was an action movie with no background music.
Oh, wow.
Weird.
It feels awkward.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere without music, but especially with a movie. But if you even go to a restaurant, it gets awkward if there's no music in the background because music sets the stage. It sets the atmosphere. It creates exactly what you want to happen. You play faster music at a fast food restaurant, people eat faster and get out.
Really?
You slow it down and you play very romantic music and slow music. People take their time, order, eat, stay for dessert, and pay a large bill.
Oh, wow.
Because you're not as concerned about, quantity. You're concerned about quality. So.
Yeah. Music is definitely powerful. If you ever went through a burnout period with music, where you just needed a break from music?
Yes. I had a period of, I'd say about 2 years. And I'll tell you the sad story about it was I was driving a 1995 Honda Accord and I had a system in there. And, at that time it was about, trying to show everybody you had the nice 15s and this, that, and the third. But I had my system going and someone broke in and stole my radio.
Tragic.
It was tragic, man. At that time, you could go in and take the face off, and that was your radio. You had to go get that replaced, whatever. So it happened 2 or 3 times, and I just said, you know what? I'm burnt out on music anyway. And I went years, like 2 years at least, with no music in my car. And it was some of the most peaceful, because I had done music every day of my life.
Yeah.
When I wake up, when I go to sleep, I'm at church doing music. I'm at home doing music. I'm doing music with the band. I'm doing music everywhere. And so I got burnt out, and I needed that break. And it felt good.
That's what happened to me here. Like
Really?
When I stopped. So I decided to quit doing the studio. It literally was driving me insane. And, I would go home after studio sessions, complete silence in the car.
Yeah.
And then eventually I just discovered like audiobooks and podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
And then then there a couple months went by and I quit the studio and I realized like, dude, I don't think I've listened to, like, I haven't put a song on myself in like 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
But you can get burned out from music. But
absolutely.
A lot of people don't understand when you work with something creative, something happens to it, and you try desperately. You're like, I don't want to ruin this creativity. I don't want to ruin this because it does. Like making music, even where you're recording or you're the person playing the instrument, you're singing. That's like a magical thing,
right?
But you can lose it.
You can, and you can also get to the point to where you don't enjoy it. That was where I was.
Right.
I got into the point to where I was always learning the music, or always studying the music, or critiquing the music. And it got to the point that it was like, man, just listen to the music to enjoy it. As you were talking earlier, you're talking about studio sessions, how whenever a song's playing, it's almost inevitable that you get to editing and fixing and mixing. I was that way when I was listening to music in the car. I was like, man, what's the hi-hat doing? What's the bass drum doing? What's the guitar doing? What's the bass drum doing? Like, I was doing that the entire time.
You like
overanalyze it. And by the time the song's over, I could play the song. That's great. But I didn't really enjoy what the song and the artist intended for me to enjoy. They didn't want me to think about whether it was an 18th note or an 8th note or 16th note or, all these different concepts. They just wanted me to enjoy the music.
Right.
And so that's what it's about.
That is real. It's sad that you can burn out, but you can't. You ever felt it? Because in your life, I'm sure you've had to force creativity before.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Like people were scared. Like one of the flaws of studio time is like me and this artist are scheduling creativity.
Yeah.
And we're just like crossing our fingers and hoping something magical happens. But a lot of days it's a Monday evening and nothing special is going to happen.
Yeah.
They're mad because they gave me $50.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And nothing.
The thing should be, they should have creativity that's already happened. Right. And then the studio session is a recording of that creativity.
But it changed. Somewhere along the line, it changed. And they decided that they was going to come in here
and figure it out as they
come in here and pay for it and figure it out as they was going. It was this huge trend that I don't think is over with.
Yeah. Well, there's artists that they have a budget and a timeline.
Yeah.
And they set a stage that everyone else tries to follow.
Right.
They'll book a studio for a week and they'll say, I'm going to get an album done within this week. Well, you take the average, artist that's, trying to make it. They say, well, that's what they did. I'll try that. And then before you know it, they're looking at, they booked time, but they didn't have the concept or the skeleton even of what they were trying to create.
Oh, I've had people do 2 hours and get like 4 lines, just get stuck. And then a lot of times, like rappers specifically, they want to use other substances to like, I guess, spark the creativity. Yeah. Get too high, get too intoxicated.
And now they're gone.
And then now the whole session is me hitting spacebar on a loop. And which one thing that's freaked me out as I was reading this book on like, this is gonna sound crazy, but it was like military torture and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, and one thing they do is that they play music on a loop.
Oh, wow.
To drive people insane.
So that's probably what drove you.
I was twisted. I'm like, dude, I've hit spacebar 15,000 times today with the song on a loop. So I don't know. There's definitely, there's drawbacks for music.
Yeah, there is drawbacks.
Magic. And I think the common people, they look at music and like the process of it and they're like, oh, it's just magic.
Yeah. There's so much work behind magic. Yeah. There's also not an appreciation for music and the people who do music. I've unfortunately found that out for myself. Because people like yourself and like myself who've done hours and hours of research, hours and hours of practice, because we make it look easy sometimes, people think that there's no value
Right.
They see that you can take a song and you can make edits and you can do things really quick. And they really start to think, oh, this is easy. It's easy for you, Joe. You got this.
No.
And they start to even say things like, man, you're not going to charge me that much for this. And it's like, just because I've become efficient
100%. Yeah.
doesn't mean that I'm not valuable.
Yeah.
And
that means you're more valuable.
That means you're more valuable. So if a surgeon goes in and he can do the operation in 15 minutes, another surgeon can do it in 5 hours, it's still the same efficiency or the same product.
Price.
Yeah. But the price should be the same.
Yeah.
But people try to say, well, if it took you 15 minutes, that means you need to pay me, a fraction of the price. But I found that out in music. And it also burnt me out because people were like trying to abuse my time. And I was like, dude, I can't give away my time.
Right.
I just can't. I love you, but I put in hours and hours, thousands of hours into practicing.
You really get paid for, it's not, and that's even charging by the hour. You're really getting paid for what you've done beforehand.
Exactly.
It isn't necessarily just that hour. And a lot of like musicians approach the studio time hour as, I'm paying for what's happening in this hour. Well, no, you're paying for the last 5 years doing this every single day.
Yes.
And now I know what to do for you in this hour.
Right. And that is where value, if you can find clientele and people to look at the value that you bring, not just the product of what you bring, that to me is whenever you appreciate it, you feel like you're in a space where you can do your best work. And time isn't really a factor at that point because you're like, they value me. And I see where I can add value there. We have a pretty good marriage here.
The music business is tough. And then it's like, then you look at like the music business as you go up the ladder and like it gets grimier and nastier and dirtier. Yeah. And then it's like, at one point I kind of saw, okay, so I just started mapping out like my progression. Okay, if I follow this and I go here and do this, and this is kind of probably what I need to do to keep elevating,
right,
where I'm going to end up. And it's like, you could end up in some cool places, but at the same time, it's like, it is a really nasty business
it's
at the end of the day.
And music costs so much. Yes. It costs you your life. It costs you your time. It costs you your blood, sweat, and tears. I have a friend of mine, he'll just remain nameless, but he went on to get what he thought was his dream job of playing on the road and touring as a drummer, and he's from this area. He was just doing so great. And I called him after a few years of doing it. He said, man, I got to get off the road. It's like, I hate it. He said, I'm away from my family. I never eat healthy. I can't. I've gained weight because I spend all my time just going from one city to the next city, and we're eating later and later. I'm never sleeping in my own house. I'm sleeping in a hotel, even if it's a nice hotel. I take pictures at these places and it looks nice to people who are on the outside.
Right.
They said, man, I really just want to go home. And it was like, wow. Because that's not the side that people portray.
Yeah, right.
It's like, man, you're going to get to go see. We're on the road. We made it.
Yeah.
But making it costs you something. And it costs you having to sacrifice and give up something. NBA players will tell you that too. It's like, man, yeah, you look at the outside, man, we make a lot of money. Dude, I'm on the road half the year.
82 games.
82 games and wild, sometimes traveling in between.
Yeah.
You don't always get to come home on some of those games. So yeah, it's a lot to give up.
I think fame in general is like, well, they've been telling us for years. I mean, you look at almost any famous person, like most of them aren't like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
No. And the common person, especially the common person with like these big dreams, like they just sit around and think about, oh, if I could just get famous, if I could just get this and that. And then you go listen to the famous people talk and they're like, dude, this sucks.
Dude, and the funny you say that, but in the field I deal in now, you're asking me what some of the things I do. Now I deal with wealth management. And so my approach on wealth and money is totally different. I was a person who came up, didn't have much. And so I was always like, man, I've got to get the next dollar. I got to get ahead. And to sit down with millionaires every day and have them say things like, it's lonely. I don't have anyone, in my family who truly cares about me. They really care about what they can get from me.
Right.
I had a lady today who said, having all this money is more problems than it is good. I'm like, you never think about that because you think, man, I'd love to have that problem.
Yeah.
Give me a few million. But it turns into, okay, which grandkid are we going to give this much to? And we don't want this grandkid to be upset if they didn't get anything. And this son, he's, got an addiction problem. So we don't want to, leave him anything because that could actually
kill him.
You could kill him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So now we got to come up with a trust that tells him how much he can get every month and make sure that he's not. It's like, golly, I didn't think about all those things, but there's problems that come even with attaining wealth. There's things to consider and think about. Taxes too. That's another conversation.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I think everybody is just naturally sad, and I think that we have to find our way to like be happy.
Yeah, to be content.
Yeah, to be content
where we are.
Yeah,
in the space that we are. The joy of just looking at, okay, what I have right now. If I never got anything else, I'm thankful for it. I'm grateful for the opportunity, the breath that I have, the activity that I have on my limbs, just the stuff that we take for granted. If you just take a second to be grateful for it and, really appreciate that, it makes your life a whole lot better. Because some people diss where they are trying to reach the next place. And you'll have a man look at you and say, I'd trade places with you any day.
Any day. Somebody out there wants your life.
They do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then they probably would be let down once they got it.
They would. But they look at what you have and they see what you have and they think that's what they want. And so that's why it's good to just be content where we're at.
I'm 100% have prayed for like where I am now.
Yeah.
And like obviously I'm a goal-oriented person. So it's not that I'm not content. I just, I'm still want to chase goals all the time.
Right.
But like I try to stop and say, dude, this is cool. Like,
it is.
Yeah. Cause like I lived here in this place.
Wow.
And half the house was the studio. Like it was on the other side. And me and my wife lived here. And there were studio sessions going on here. And then I hired somebody. And there was a studio session going on while we slept, because I was trying to make it work.
Wow.
And then I would think, I was like, all I want is my own house. All I want is my own house, And so like we have a house. It's like,
yeah.
The stuff that I swore, it's like, okay, I'm going to be happy if I get this. And like there's moments where you're not happy even when you get what you want. You're right. You just have to
you have to force yourself to stop and be grateful. And in doing so, that gratitude in some ways lends itself to future greater opportunities. Just the fact that you're grateful puts you in a better headspace to be creative, a better headspace to attain more, because you spend your time focusing on appreciation of what you have. While the opposite is true, where you're like, man, I hate this. Man, I got to do better. Man, that doesn't actually help you get to your goals.
Right.
It's being thankful and having a positive attitude for where you are.
And they say you got to fall in love with like the journey.
Yeah.
Right. Because like if your whole life is my whole life was like, okay, I got to make this podcast blow up. And like, but if I don't enjoy like this right here, like what's the point? Like one day I may interview some huge person, but like that'll have to fulfill me at that point.
Right.
It has to be like that every night when I sit in here. Not every night, but the nights I do sit in here, that has to be the why you do it.
If not, then you're going to get to the now what?
Now what? Yeah.
Because there was this time where I was like, man, if I ever made X amount of dollars a year, if I ever got to six figures, you say these things and then you're like, now what? What do you, that didn't fulfill you as much as you thought it would. So you have to, as you said, get in love with the journey, the process.
Right.
And once you fall in love with that, it makes the whole thing better.
Yeah.
So much better. And then, there's so many other factors that we can go into along with that.
Yeah. So you deal with wealth management. These are extremely wealthy people and they need like, I guess you just like what financial structure for them?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, not everybody is extremely wealthy. I don't want to make it seem like I only deal with multimillionaires, just people that are just average people. And they have worked at a job for years, gotten to a place where they want to, move their assets from their retirement to, somewhere else, or they've saved up money for years.
It's like investments.
An investment. So they need someone to kind of help them put things in certain places to help them get to their goals. That's something that I do. I enjoy doing. It's fun. I get to be creative and helpful. Yeah. And then turn around and help someone see their assets doing what they're supposed to do. So
how does that work? That you guide people to like the right stock, or how does that work? I have no idea.
Yeah, you're right. So we just give advice. We do have intel and information that helps us give good advice. So we find out what's, things that would be beneficial for someone to own. And then we talk them through it and we decide on what's best for them according to where their risks are and what their goals are.
But you can't take the risk away, right?
No, you can't ever take risk away, not completely, but you can lower risk if you're going with something more, stable. Or, you can go with something that's like a savings account or a CD or, something that has lower risk in it, that have lower returns, but it gives you lower amount of risk.
Right.
And so that's that whole thing. Higher the risk, the higher returns.
Right.
Lower the risk, lower the risk, the lower the returns are usually.
Whew. That sounds scary. You ever get scared that that people are putting like their finances into your hands?
I went through this. I had a friend of mine who's an investor as well. His brother's a doctor. And doctors go through this too, where you realize that you are put in a very, very heavy position where the decisions that you make could literally affect someone's life and death. That's a doctor.
Yeah.
Well, financially, you're put in the same position where you're managing someone's wealth and they're depending on you to make the right decisions that's going to determine if they have enough money, if their wife has enough money if you pass, if their children have enough money for their legacy. The decisions that you make, it puts a lot of perspective on what you do.
Yeah.
But I've gotten over those fears. At the early stages, you stay up at night worrying about it.
Yeah.
You're missing sleep. If the market has a bad day, you're feeling like it's your fault.
Do you have to are you constantly like watching like the stock market like a hawk or?
I went through that stage, but now I've kind of graduated, if you will. I'm not just studying every day the market. I'm studying people.
Yeah.
And I let people who are focused on the market give me information so I don't have to sit around and watch it, because that can be stressful.
Well, I see people like day trading and stuff.
Yeah.
That seems wild.
That is wild. That is wild.
Can you explain like day trading just like...
Yeah, I can. I don't.
That's probably not something you involve.
I don't do that, but I'll say what it is because I understand it and, can do it. It means that you buy something at a certain price. Let's say the market opens at 8:30. At 8:35, you go in and you buy this thing for $5. Let's say it's an amazing day for this particular, gadget, product, whatever it is, company. And by 10 o'clock, this stock has gone from $5 up to $25.
Wow.
So you've made 500%. So if you put 5,000 in, now you're up to 25,000 within a few hours. That's day trading at its best.
And then you just get out.
You have to get out. But here's the scariest part. At 8:30, somewhere between 8:30 and 8:35, you bought it at 5. At 10 o'clock, you got it up to 25. At 10:30, it could be back down to $6. And if you didn't pay attention and you didn't make the move at the right time, you may have missed a swing or missed an opportunity. So that's where day trading really does take focus. It takes putting things in place, parameters to make sure that sometimes the computer can help you where your human element, you could go to the bathroom. I had a friend.
Oh, no.
He lost, I think, like $11,000 just
going to the bathroom. Oh, no.
He was like, what happened to this airline company? But something happened. There was something that happened on the news, and he went to the bathroom and the stock started plummeting, and he didn't get back in time to get $11,000. So,
Oh, wow.
So it's...
Well, like as it's climbing and you're sitting there watching it, it's like in your head, you probably have your first instinct is like, it's going to keep going.
Yeah.
But then there's like that moment, right, that it just starts going the other way. And then you got to think, okay, well, is it bouncing back? Is it dipping just for a second? Is it coming back? And then like the longer you wait, the further it could go down. And then you could be, oh man, it sounds like
it can be stressful because you don't know. And there's so many factors that affect where investments go.
This sounds like, this is one of the funniest interviews I ever did. I brought this guy in that I used to record.
Okay.
And he is like a casino addict.
Okay.
He goes to the casino. So I just brought him in. I said, dude, just tell me about all your wild casino stuff.
Okay.
I said, we're going to think about the casino today. That was just the whole deal. It's probably one of the funniest things I've done, like podcast wise.
Good deal.
And this dude is addicted to the casino.
Oh, he's serious about it.
And there's these moments where he realizes that he's up. And if he could just get out of there, he would be good. But he said he's been known to get up $16,000, $20,000. And instead of because he feels like if he went from 1,000 to 16, that he can keep going from like 16 to 30.
Right.
But like it starts to go back the other way. And then you just go and like, at what point do you realize you're on the down return? But every time you keep hitting the button, you're going further the other way.
Yeah.
But there's that thing in your mind that says, I was up this amount. And so like
with investments, it's similar, but it's not from a standpoint of It's
That
not.
sounds like day trading, though. Sounds more like the casino.
Yeah, day trading can be like the casino, but I think as long as you have a strategy, and I encourage people to have a strategy, even if they're doing long-term investment, you still have to have a strategy. And the strategy tells you what you're expected to make, what you want to try to make a year. Or
you said there's computer programs?
Yeah, there's computer programs that help us aid in making these decisions. Sometimes you take the emotion out of it because honestly, the problem with investing is there's emotions.
Oh, wow.
People are attached to their investments. Like money is one of those things. I mean, people get emotional about it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
So they'll say, man, I had $50,000 and it's hurting my heart to see it drop to 45 because they become emotionally attached to the 50. But if you have a strategy and your strategy is a long-term strategy, you're not worried about where it is at this particular moment. You're worried about where it's going to be in the long term, and that's where you have to say, okay, XYZ company has had a bad day, a bad quarter, but holding on to it will pay me a lot more than letting go of it for a bad moment.
I was thinking, are they going to use like AI in investments?
They already started it.
Really?
Yeah, they've already started.
How do you feel about that?
I think there's good that can come from anything like that, but there's also value that humans add that robots and AI can never add. If you can incorporate the two together, then you're winning. But I feel like people still need a person sometimes to talk to them because sometimes my job is just to talk to people and say, I know how you feel.
Yeah.
It's been a rough day. You did lose 200,000. AI can't really emotionally connect
that.
Yeah, because you have to listen, you have to pay attention, and you have to feel the emotions of people. And AI doesn't always have the ability to pick up on all of the nuances of emotional intelligence that's required. Yet. If they come up with it, then
I think that's going to be like because so there's the big talk about like jobs, like what is going to happen. As AI advances, and they're like I said, they're throwing all the money at it. It's like almost like an arms race with China at this point. We can't stop. They're not going to stop. So we can't stop the AI train. It's going. Hey, if you're enjoying this podcast and you're watching on YouTube, if you could take just a few seconds to go hit that subscribe button, it really does help. That'll help notify you when we drop new videos. And we need all the subscribers we can get so we can keep bringing you content every week. Now back to the show. And so there's this thought argument basically about, the value that humans bring, like exactly what you're saying. At what point do I say they, when I talk about AI, that's crazy to say that, but does AI, get to the point where it can emulate us so well that like jobs are actually in trouble?
I think humans have a very, very important task in front of them, and that is to continually improve. The days of settling in where you are and saying, I'm never going to make myself better, I'm not going to learn more, I'm not going to be more, those days are over. Because if you do, you are, in my mind, threatened by what AI can bring.
Right, but so you're saying the way to stay ahead of AI is you just got to be on top of your game.
You have to be on top of your game. You have to find things that you can do that AI can't. If you're a plumber, there may be some AI that can help you be better at plumbing, but I don't think an AI can walk up to the...
Shout out to the Septic business.
But you have to find a way to add value in ways that AI can't. Yeah. And if you do that and you continue to improve, then, you'll be okay. But there may be some people whose jobs, are in jeopardy when it comes to telecommunications, programmers. If you're dealing with, if you go to Walmart, I mean, the self-check and AI space. Yeah. I was in Washington, D.C. this weekend, and it was the craziest thing. I was at the game, and they said, you can go over here to this section, and you scan your card. They said, walk over there. Anything you grab, you could just walk out.
Oh, and it'll know?
They said, it'll know everything you picked up.
Oh, Lord.
And it'll charge you based off it. I said, are you serious? It's like, yeah. It sees you. It picks up everything that you've done, and it'll calculate it.
It's kind of scary.
It is scary. I was like... She's like, anything you grab. If you grab a drink, if you grab a snack, if you grab pizza.
But you load your card on beforehand.
You load and that's how you get access to go in. So it's almost like an AI shopping experience.
Yeah, I just think of like delinquents stealing and they're like waiting to see if if they get caught, like checking their bank to see if they got caught. Like, did I get away with this? Or what?
Oh, they got that water. It picked up on it. You know, that
is crazy.
I look back and there was like a lot of cameras above us, but it's just showing you that there's different ways that things are being done now. And so there's still a human there that has to tell you to scan your card and go in. But eventually it'll be such a common thing that people will start to scan their card without human element. Just walk over there. Even at the gas station now, if you're ready to check out at some of the gas stations, you just put your items on the counter and it tells you the price. Wow. You just swipe your card and you go.
And I still have to scan at the racetrack, but I like the self-checkout at the racetrack. That's cool.
Yeah.
The racetrack at Liberty Island. Let me talk to the crowd for just a second.
Talk about it, man.
Derailed this thing for just a second. What an awesome place. My bad. That is so nice having because we got the Dollar General Market in Liberty Island now.
Yeah.
Like it's a market. It's nice. Yeah. And then we got the new gas station.
Yeah. We're coming up, man.
Yeah, man.
Let's go.
I don't got to go to town no more hardly. Now I'll go to Ruvalcaba on the corner.
Yeah, you got it all. You got it all right here within a few miles, man.
Yeah, they're never gonna see me in Texarkana. Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
But no, man. I think we got important. Like you said, like responsibility as a person now to like stay on your game, or else, like it's like if you're just. I don't want to throw this word around, but like if you're just like an ordinary, like not pushing the limit, like just off the top, that seems like that would be the first type of person that will get.
Yeah, you need to get specialized in something, and that's something I'm training. Even my son and my daughter, she's not old enough to really get it yet, but I'm trying to set a path that they can walk that will allow them to be specialized in something.
Right.
And there's things that we can do that can't be emulated. And those are the kind of skills that we want to try to, increase and become more efficient at. And they range, all across every sector, but trying to become more skilled, and then the value that you add could be, can't be easily replaced.
Right. I just get scared because like they pretend like they don't see these movies. Like that's what get me. Like iRobot. Like, did nobody watch iRobot? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, did you see?
Oh, I loved iRobot, but
did you see Elon Musk's new?
Yeah, I saw that, and it looked just like iRobot.
Did you see the director? The director got mad. He's upset with Elon because he said he copied their design. But I'm like, what is a robot going to look like?
Well, the crazy thing about it is those movies in Hollywood have always been prophetic or foretelling.
Yeah.
They know what's coming before we do. And so by the time it comes out 5-10 years later, it's like, wow, they were telling us something. Whether that's aliens or whether that's robots, whatever it is, they've always kind of given us a little bit of a heads up if we were paying attention.
You think they know more?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's always more information than the public can handle.
Yeah. I wonder, man, I've messed up and gone down a bunch of different like rabbit holes, like the alien rabbit hole and stuff like that. It's easy to get lost in the sauce. So I'm not sure I recommend it, but it is fun.
It's interesting, man. There's a lot of things that you can learn in the process of even investigating things that you don't have factual proof of.
One thing that I'm learning as I get older, I really do feel like, and for better or worse, I don't know, but I really feel like the more I learn, like the less I know.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah. It proves that what you thought you knew wasn't the complete story. That's where knowledge really begins, when you find out, oh, there's more to the story. There's more to this story. Even religion can do that for you. Yeah. The more you study the word, the more you understand God, the more you find out he's much bigger than what we thought. And we know much less about him than we thought we did. And so as you discover information and wisdom, it really just shows you just how expansive the amount of information is that's out there.
It's weird because it's like a paradox. It's like it seems like we want to learn, but at the same time, like a lot of humans are like stuck in our biases. So it's like a weird like balance going on at the same time. Like I want to learn new stuff, but like our worldview is like what we cling to a lot of times. It's really hard to change it's our worldview.
True discovery of information means taking off that before you study, and not to get into, the preaching and things of that sort. But a really good teacher or preacher understands that you go into the conversation of studying God's word, and the first thing you do is say, I forget everything that I think I know about this or everything that I've heard about this so that I can truly discover what is there to be discovered. Because part of why it's hard to discover new information is because those worldviews or those, well, I've always been told that this is what this means. If you take that into it, that's all you're going to get out of it. But if you take it and just say, I'm just going to go into this completely dumb, completely blind, just see what this has to offer. You can walk away like, wow.
Yeah.
Never knew that was there. Never knew those factors were there because I've always just been so fast to jump to my preconceived notions.
Do you think it's actually possible to have like an open mind?
I think it's possible to be more open.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's completely possible to be completely open-minded.
Because lots of people say, I'm open-minded.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're not, though.
Yeah, they're not
because there's still lots of things that they hold on to.
Right.
Like, I guess a true open-minded person would just, willing to, I don't know, but I'm not sure we can do that. That's why
I don't know if it's possible. I think it's possible to be more open-minded on a subject. As I said earlier, just to lay down what you think you know.
Right.
But there are some things that I think all of us have in us that we can't lay down. And whatever those truths are, whatever those things are, the pillars of who we are, we can't lay those down.
Right.
And some of them are good ones, though. It could be, treat people right. Treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be more open-minded about like how you...
how you treat people.
Yeah,
like there are certain things that once you have those foundational truths, you lay those down and they're solid. But the other things like, well, I've always thought that, Jesus was from this part of the country. Lay that down for a second and just read about it and find out where he actually was from.
Yeah.
I always thought that when they said this in the Bible, they meant this. Or I've always thought that this about stocks or this about money. That's one of the things that I found out. I thought rich people were crooked.
Yeah.
I really did because
there's definitely some though that
there are some.
Yeah, there's like regular, but not. You're saying like not every rich person is crooked. Yeah,
but that's the way it was kind of taught. It's like the only way you can get ahead is you have to do something wrong.
Yeah, that's 100% not true.
Exactly. So you have to lay that down because having that as a pillar of your thought will keep you in poverty because you'll think the way to stay true, the way to stay pure and honest is to stay poor.
Yeah,
that's not true.
That is, I think there was definitely a point in my life where I had like a bias towards like people that were more well off, especially like kids my age.
Yeah.
I was really like that would upset me. Like I would see somebody that had like more than that.
Who do you think they are with those nice shoes on? Who do you think you are? Yeah.
And it's just like you grow up and you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like that, because that's one thing I learned a while back is that like there's not really a struggle scale, I don't think. Right. Obviously there's some things that are worse than others, but I think that the rich kid that his parents work so much he never sees them is that's the same type of struggle as the poor kid that has whatever that is. So like,
can't afford to wear clothes that look nice and they get bullied for. That's still there's still this absence of something that they need.
Right. Because I think I get at the base of it, we all struggle.
Right. Everybody's got to struggle. And
once we understand that, just like you're saying, the millionaire struggles, the homeless guy struggles, everybody struggles. It just looks different.
Yeah,
it's hard to process that though.
That's where you start to get to appreciating where you are and really valuing.
Well, they say comparison is the thief of joy. So it's it's so easy. Like, I don't know. I think that's like a human thing that we do. We just see somebody else and we immediately just set them up against us. Like, before the UFC fight and they show you like the stats, like this is so-and-so's wingspan, his weight, this is that. And I'm like, And then you just have to tell yourself, no, man, that is not the way. That's definitely not the way to do business. No. Yeah, business. How many, you can't give me an exact number, but how many businesses do you think fail worrying about the other business that does something similar to them?
Right. I would say a vast majority of them do.
And it's nothing to do with like their thoughts on their own stuff.
Yeah. It's because they didn't. Part of being successful, and this was something that Microsoft and Apple both have talked about, the CEOs of it. Apple's, of course, he passed away, but before he passed away, he was never focused on what another company was doing. He didn't even care. He literally did not care. And I know that's hard to believe, but he wasn't in his mind saying, I want to be the next best, or I want to try to beat them getting the next thing. He was like, no, I want to be amazing at what I do. And that's where success comes from. Because the moment you start saying, I got to make a better shoe than this person, I got to make your widget eventually won't be the best. It won't be the greatest, the newest. Yeah. You got to focus on your own product, your own lane, and stay there, appreciate it. And there's a crowd of people who are going to love it. Music, everything fits in that category.
Yeah, it's like finding yourself.
Yeah.
I think that you can't. You can be successful without finding yourself, but that's hard to. Maybe that's why people get successful and are still unhappy because they found themselves without, or they found success but didn't find themselves.
Yeah, I think that's the absence of it. It's not appreciating who they were and truly tapping into that versus just chasing the dollar. You got the dollar and you're like, now what? That was that whole conversation. So it all kind of ties together.
Yeah, that all came back. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to. I don't know. You want things to like. Okay, so like I look at how things are. Like let's say even in the podcast industry now, people are just a lot of these podcasts they blow up and it's just like then they get in this cycle of like okay, like let's say they blew up saying something wild.
Yeah.
Now they have to keep saying wild things.
Right.
It's just like you can accidentally build the wrong base for your stuff, and then you just have to keep on. You have to keep on
catering to what got you there. So it's better, and I like what you're doing, man.
Appreciate it.
You have this mode of I just want to be authentic, natural, and do what Joe Teel wants to do.
Yeah,
and I want my audience to appreciate that. And there's a group of people who do, and they will, and that will be expanded over and over, of course, over time. But you're not going to get to where you're trying to get to, saying I'm gonna just sell out what I want to do and just do what I think everybody else is doing,
right?
Or what I think is popular, or what I think sells or gets people to watch. You're staying true.
Yeah, my goal is to talk to people I want to talk to, and I feel like if I'm talking, if every time I line up a guest, it's someone I really want to talk to.
Yeah,
how could it go wrong? Obviously something could go wrong, but you know what I'm saying. Like as a whole, the trajectory of the show is just Joe talking to people. That, and I was talking to Jeff Easterling, the guy that does Texarkana FYI.
Yeah.
He had the original Texarkana Cheers and Cheers page or whatever. That's a cool episode. Y'all go check that out.
There you go. Nice pub there.
Yeah. I got plugs now. That's the thing about talking to so many people. It's just like I'm constantly like, a shout to Chase Livingston or just, something like that. And that fast, I forgot where I was going.
You were saying that you were staying true to it.
Oh, yeah, just finding, okay, yeah. As long as I'm talking to people
that you want to
I want to talk to, I don't see how it can't work.
Yeah. I think there's a balance, even in saying that I think music kind of fits in this category. There is a little bit of you have to do what sells,
right,
to have the right to do what you want to do. But even when you're doing what sells, you have to stay true to yourself. So I'll take, I won't say an artist's name, but there's a lot of artists that have made it to the top and they can really sing. They can really do a lot artistically, but they know that going really deep into what they can do artistically isn't going to get the most records sold. So they kind of keep it simple, keep it, straightforward, duplicatable, and they sell 1 million records. Yeah. And then when they've, made it to the top, you find some weird album in the list and you're like, this is nothing like all the stuff they put out.
That's the one they actually wanted to do.
That was the actual, and that's the value that you can get to and bring to the audience at that point because you're like, I made it now.
I'm huge on Post Malone. This is like one of the most versatile music guys like ever.
Yeah.
And, obviously he started in one lane and he's kind of switched over the years, but it's like he's like, and like, okay, so he just dropped a country album.
Yeah.
And it was like #1. And he dropped a rock album a couple years ago. It was #1. And he dropped a rap album before that, and it was #1. So you're talking about a guy that was able to go #1 in 3 different genres, which is wild.
That's all in him, though.
Yeah. But it's like, I feel like he's doing more what he wants to do now, and he's so famous and so set.
Yeah.
That now he can
do whatever he wants to.
I'm going to go put a country album together. Because he had every country legend, he had like 16 features on one album.
Wow.
Every feature is like some legend.
Wow.
It was crazy.
But he made it before
exactly. So
before he did that.
I see a lot of people that there's tons of examples of like what you're saying.
Yeah.
They find once they got the success of like, okay, now I'm about to make this album that I really liked.
This is the one I really want to show my artistic flavor on.
There's like, okay, in the rap world especially, like dumbing stuff down is like I feel like it's at an all-time high.
Unfortunately.
So even there's like these intelligent guys that can write, really well thought out music. Like they know better.
Yeah. But they still don't do better. Yeah. That part right there, we're getting into something a little that, I don't want to get too deep into, but I feel like that's what sells. And I think it's intentionally what is being promoted
Oh yeah, we can get into that.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into that's controversial, but I feel like people who have power and money would rather have that type of information,
right?
Spread across, the population than they would an intelligent, well-spoken, thought-out message that a rapper is trying to put out. I feel like that's looked at like we're not going to promote that. And
I 100% agree. 100% agree.
Well, good.
Because look, so I've seen this in real time. Real people right in front of my eyes.
Okay.
Studio people, like rappers, coming here, just at a local level.
Yeah.
This is a guy that, we'll take one guy that I won't say his name or nothing like that. I'll just kind of tell a story that's a broad story of this guy. This guy was not what you would call like a gangster in high school, right? Gets out of high school. Decides he wants to be a rapper. Okay. Goes and makes a song. A lot of people are like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, he goes home, does his homework, starts learning, this is what I need to look like, this is what I need to act like this. That starts taking in all the influences. You give that same person 6 months, they're a complete different person. They're in that rapper role. It's important in rap to be who you say you are, right, unless you're actually famous and then you just go live in a mansion and pretend to be that. But that's another story.
That's another story.
Yeah. But, that person now has made this change now. And it was because they took on this role and they took on the influence.
Right.
And that same person 6-7 months later, isn't involved in like a homicide. It's like this dude never would have done that if it wasn't for becoming a part of that.
Right.
That like culture of this specific rap.
Right. But they feel like they have to be a part of it. And unfortunately, that's more acceptable than being smart, than actually because I have seen you're one of them, dude. I don't know if people know Joe Teel, the rapper, but man, listen, lyrically, I'm talking years ago, 10, 11 years ago, I would just listen and like, man, this guy is saying something. Like no bars were wasted. Right. No lines were just fillers.
I appreciate that.
But there's artists now who are out who have way less content, way less, potency to what they're saying.
Yeah, the songs are throwaway bars, like the whole song.
Yeah, the whole song
is a throwaway bar.
And they're financially set.
Yes.
They have millions of followers and everyone's like, yes. I don't think that's coincidental.
No, I think that's like an institutional thing. I think that's like a music industry thing.
Yeah.
That once, because I'm telling you, I've seen this firsthand. I cannot deny this. I can't, people, and there will be people that say, oh, Joe, you're lame, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I have watched people get influenced by rap music negatively.
Yeah.
I've seen it destroy their life. And you can blame it some on the hood. I understand that, and some of your surroundings, but I have seen even outside of that, I've seen rap destroy people.
Yeah, it's so sad.
I always felt like, which is different because like as a white dude, you always feel like, even in rap, I'm a visitor, right? I respect it, but I feel like, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, it seems like it was rooted in African-American culture, but...
Right. Yeah, so I always try to treat it like I'm a visitor here. I appreciate people supporting me and letting me do this. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like it was something that was created another way.
Right.
But I'm lucky that, you know what I'm saying, people have always embraced me when I did music, and that's cool.
Right. Come on, Eminem.
Yeah. Which, people like Eminem did open a door for you really can't talk too down on Eminem because like what he did,
Yeah.
So, but anyways, he's always treated his, not as, his respect for rap, right? Yeah. And the culture of rap. Like even when he's at the top of his game, there's the one song where he starts listing off the people. There's Biggie, Tupac, Nas, and Demi. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he didn't, there was even a respect,
right? Like
even in his like prime Eminem to say, okay, but there was these people before me
that I honor that took the first step. Yeah.
But anyways, I've always just, I don't know, with rap, I have felt there's a feeling in rap, right?
Right.
It's can be took different ways, but there's an energy in it.
Yeah.
And but back when I was making kind of like more gospel centered music, there would be people that would tell me that energy I was feeling was like a bad thing. They would say like that is like, but there was almost like the guy that sits out there at the fair with his megaphone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That type of deal.
Wow.
You know, but it's something that you know what I'm saying. But what am I saying?
You were talking about, how you felt being in rap.
Yeah.
And what you were trying to accomplish and what you felt like as a guest there and so on and so forth.
Yeah, the influence. Basically, yeah. Let me go, because I'll go, I'll go the other way. But no, the influence in rap is incredibly powerful. And I think that to go full circle, this is what I've been trying to say for 10 minutes. I just talk in circles. But there's an industry there that realizes that influence is real and what it can do, and that it doesn't necessarily just affect, let's say it doesn't necessarily just affect like the lower income people that of any race, you know what I'm saying? It's something that affects everybody.
Yes.
So you ride around the college campuses, these people are going crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see adults playing like trap music. Like I sell cocaine, there's, the whole trap deal. And it's just
I've been surprised. I've been on the golf course. And,
trapped out on the golf course.
I'm like, what? I'm like, I didn't expect that, this guy would be, this suit and tie guy would be, listening to hip hop. But my wife's in surgery as a nurse. And sometimes she said a lot of the surgeons during surgery are listening to Tupac.
Oh, yeah.
Or listen to old school rap. And it's like, you wouldn't have expected that. But music has a way of crossing all, denominations, all ages, all groups, all ethnicities. And it reaches to a deeper place than people understand. And it's powerful. It can be used in a positive way. And unfortunately, it can be used in a negative way as well.
One of the reasons why I quit writing for myself, which I still make a song now every once in a while. I'll show you something later if you remind me. Yeah. I'll show you something just to show you kind of what I've been messing with. But I get discouraged because it's like, I don't think people want to hear, because I have, always, even since the beginning was negative because I just kind of got in and was like, I was just emulating what I was seeing.
Right.
But then then I'd start moving to more positive. And even despite where my life has gone, the message has stayed positive.
Yeah. It's
hard for me to be like, okay, like, first things first, like, I'm not making a song about selling drugs because I don't sell drugs.
Right. I'm not gonna make one about shooting people because I don't shoot people.
I don't shoot people, right? And
there's so much more to talk about though than just those two topics. But if you listen to most rap,
it's discouraging as like a conscious rapper because you have those brief moments like the J. Cole people. Yeah, there's moments where okay, this works, but it's like even like J. Cole is somebody that came in just long enough ago where he caught the tail end of when that was cool,
right?
Like to be a new guy and to be like, okay, we're going to be conscious about this.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Well, that's like you said earlier, it's institutionalized. It's something that
I really do believe that
money is put behind what they want. I mean, Kanye West, as crazy as he has been, and sometimes he talked about how what they want to be popular, they put money behind it, and everyone else just follows. And he would do weird stuff like wear shoes that no one, but then eventually it would be popular. And whatever they want to be popular, whatever song, whatever style, whatever, they can make it popular. They put the right person wearing it. You're just going to say, okay, this is what we'll do.
And we're just garbage.
Yeah, and we just follow it like cows to slaughter. Like, yes, we're going to wear our hair like this. We're going to wear our clothes like this. We're going to wear our shoes. And you have to be willing to step outside of the matrix, so to speak, and just say, okay, I'll evaluate what they're doing and how they're doing it. I'm going to figure it out, see if that's where I want to fit. If I don't, I'll make a difference. Change it up.
Yeah.
Do my own thing.
Oh, man. It's hard to stay yourself. It seems like you get rewarded for just bandwagoning, for being a sheep in the flock.
To a certain extent.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to step out.
Sometimes people blow up for stepping. And obviously people have gone out and done something radically different and it worked. And that's what made them. Like, this isn't just like you have to follow these steps to be that.
Right.
But I'm just saying, to the low man on the totem pole, that seems to be the path.
It's an easier path to follow than to step out and try something totally different or against the grain. I get
scared because I feel like people will follow that path to destruction.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be the roadmap. You take a 20-year-old kid and you feed them nothing but NBA Youngboy, they're going to do NBA Youngboy stuff. Like,
right. Unfortunately, that's all they know.
That's sad.
Yeah.
It makes me sad. And it's part of the reason why I felt bad recording people. Like, even some of these songs that would leave here, it was just like, I was a part of that. Like,
yeah. You feel like you were used a little bit. And I mean, you, from a business standpoint, you were just doing what you're supposed to do, but then you do have to step back and say, do I want to be, like, do I want to assist? You know, you didn't take the shot, but you did throw in the ball.
Yeah, and the thing is that they will go down the road and make the same song, though. So it's like I might as well get my cut.
Yeah,
That's the other argument.
Yeah, that's an argument to that. And you're like, I got to provide for my family, but it's when you get to a place where you can go to sleep at night and not have to think like that.
Mm.
That's what you want to do, whatever that is. I don't care if it's, you know, cleaning toilets. If you wake up the next morning, you have no regrets for how you made the dollar. You don't have any second thoughts. You don't have anything you have to do to justify it. Then you're finding a lane that you can live in.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying you can't live in doing it the other way or doing the other, but I'm just saying that it's a lot more peaceful on that side of it.
Which that's, the older I get, peace is just like, that's becoming way more important. Like, which I mean, as it should. And I think they say it takes our brain like 25.
Yeah, 25 years.
So yeah,
to fully develop in the frontal.
I feel like I was a wild dude up until like 25. Even when I was on the right path, I still had like a little tinge of crazy.
Yeah, insurance companies figure that out too. That's why the rates go down at 25.
But it's crazy. Like, guys, I 100% believe that, because like when I turned 25, like I immediately just started thinking better. And then I had a kid at 26.
Dude,
let's talk about parenthood for a little bit.
Man, yeah, because that
that's
changes.
how we'll end it. Yeah,
we'll end it
there. I
there.
got 15 minutes that I can do left. But
yeah, man,
you enjoy being a father, I'm sure.
Dude, it was like you said earlier when we were off air. You know how kids change your life. And my son came, and all of a sudden,
how old is he now?
He's 6 years, about to be 7 years old.
Cool.
So 6 years ago, almost 7 years ago, he came in my life. And I knew right then, I was like, dude, I've got to really focus, because he's going to follow the example that I set. He's going to be watching me. He's going to be looking to me to be an example of what a man is, how a man should treat his, wife, and how he should be as a father. He's going to get all his cues from me. And I was like, do I really want him to be the guy that I am? And so I really started focusing on trying to be better. Still way far away from being, where I need to be, but I felt like I really started making strides. And then I was so nervous about, financially being prepared for taking care of someone. So I started working hard. I mean, I was like grinding.
When I had my son, I just turned up. I just went crazy. I was like,
there's a chart that shows the numbers. He was born in December of that year. The January that followed and the February were like double and triple. Everything, yeah. My calls and my production, my assets, everything just grew exponentially, because I was like, I got a kid. I got to go.
Yeah.
And, it really came to a weird culmination of where the world just stopped when I had my daughter 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I was like, wow.
It's different, isn't it?
It's different.
So when I looked at my daughter, I was like, yeah, all these dangerous studio clients, I do not want no part of it.
Your life changes. You're like, dude, I got a different perspective on what I need to do, where I need to be. Right. I mean, even during this interview, like, I've thought about my children probably at least 5 or 6 times, because you're like, I want to make sure I get home. I want to make sure I take care of my kids. Yeah. I want to do stuff I want to do. But the balance in life is, how do I make sure that the provider dad doesn't get in the way of the present dad?
I know it.
The guy that is volunteering and being a good role model to the community. How do you make sure that guy doesn't affect the husband? So we have all these different responsibilities that we have to take. And it's really about trying to find the balance and making sure no one gets left behind.
It's so hard to balance. I get out of balance sometimes.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, and it's sad. I like right now, like I'm doing what I love, and I have this goal.
Yeah.
But like right now, my wife is home with both kids. It's something in the back of my head this entire time.
Yeah. We can't forget it, because that's part of our responsibility too.
Right.
And it's great to have people that support you. Your wife's amazing.
Yeah,
she says,
number one.
Shout out to wife, right?
Yeah.
My wife as well. So they're holding down the fort and doing what they have to do, right, while we chase the things that we want to do to make our dreams as a family come true.
Right.
So you have to have that support. But at the same time, you don't want to ever become the guy that was always chasing your dreams.
Yeah.
And your kids were left behind, And that's the balance that, because I know those kids that we were talking about earlier, that their struggle was, we had everything, but we never had our parents.
Right. Yeah.
We never had time. So I was late to, getting started here. You know what I was doing?
What was you doing?
It's riding around the neighborhood on my bicycle with my son.
Yeah.
Because he said, we got to ride bikes. And we rode 4-wheelers. and we rode bicycles. And then I drove over here as fast as I could.
Yeah. And I'm not mad at you for that.
I needed that time,
awesome. Great,
my wife was like, aren't you supposed to be gone? So I told him I'd ride bikes with him.
Yeah.
Said I'll change shirts and I'll get to the to the podcast, but I got to go ride bikes with my son. And once we got around the neighborhood twice, I was like, all right, son, I got to go.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, cool. You go to your meeting now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man. I wonder if they, because I know women change chemically, like the brain chemistry changes when they have kids. I always wonder what it does to us. Like, I wonder if our brains change. It certainly feels like it.
I don't think ours changes as much as women do because they're more of nurturers. But I think the provision, the logic behind what we're needed to do, it influences us to really go after it and really be conscious of, what we're at, what we're doing, and how we could be better to be better for them.
Right.
It gives us, I say, it gives you one more reason to get up when you don't want to.
Right.
Gives you one more reason to finish and one more reason to get back home.
I like that. That seemed like a good place to end. That's good stuff, man.
Right,
hey, I definitely appreciate you coming.
Hey, man, thank you for having me, man. I love to come back again.
Oh, yeah.
We can talk about so many different things. So, man, anytime you need a filler or somebody that just never showed up, you're like, hey, man, I need somebody to just come in and be, second string. I got you, bro.
This will be like episode 64, so we're rolling along, man.
Man, I'm so proud of you, man. You're doing your thing over here, man. I'm so glad of what you're doing, and I know this thing's going to get bigger and bigger and better.
I appreciate all the help all over the years. You've just been a good dude, like somebody I knew, like, that's just a good dude. That would help me if I called. I knew you would help me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a
y'all listen up, watch these podcasts, not just the one that we're watching right now, but watch all of them. He's got great content, great guests. He's really going to do something that really puts Texarkana on the map, especially Liberty Island.
Yes, sir, Ellie. For the channel, like, share, subscribe. Every episode's on YouTube and also on Spotify. It really helps the channel. I need all the support I can get. I'm bootstrapping this thing. But man, if you tune in this long, we love you. We appreciate you, and you stay blessed.